Today we're going to talk about solving by factoring. So we've been factoring for about 4 or 5 classes by now. So the idea is that we're able to factor anything and everything. But we're just going to take this one step further. Once we have our factors, what do we do with them? How can we possibly use those factors to solve an equation? So I'm going to go through the odd problems on the homework assignment that you were given for today, and then you can practice on your own for the even problems. So if you notice in the first one, the equation has actually already been factored for you. You've been given x minus 2 times 6x minus 5 equal to 0. So it's already been factored for you. And the idea here is that we know if something equals 0, one of these two things has to be 0. Okay, if we were given x times y equals 0, the only time that would happen is if x were 0 or if y were 0. So this is the same thing. Either x minus 2 has to equal 0, or 6x minus 5 has to equal 0. So what would actually x be if this were to happen? Well, we would add 2 to both sides, so x would equal 2. Or we would add 5 to both sides, and then divide by 6 to get x is equal to 5, 6. So x is equal to 2 or x is equal to 5, 6 would be your two solutions. So what we're going to look at is the next couple, for instance number 3, where it's been given to you 5p squared minus 18p minus 8 is equal to 0. So we need to solve this equation, and the only way that we can solve this is by factoring. So we look for our GCF. We don't see one. So we multiply 5 times the negative 8, and that gives us a negative 40. Okay, and we're looking for numbers that multiply to give us a negative 40 and add to give us a negative 18. Well, that is a negative 20 and a positive 2. So we rewrite our trinomial, 5p squared minus 20p plus 2p minus 8 is equal to 0. So we're grouping these two terms together and these two terms together to get 5p times p minus 4 plus 2, which also gives us p minus 4. So that means our fully factored form is 5p plus 2 times p minus 4. So this part, the factoring part, we've been doing for a while. Now we just have to follow through and actually solve this by saying 5p plus 2 is equal to 0, or p minus 4 is equal to 0. So we subtract 2 from both sides, and we divide by 5 to get p is equal to negative 2/5, or add 4 to both sides, p is equal to 4. In problem number 5, you notice that it's set up a little bit differently. 3x squared minus 2x minus 6 is equal to a negative 6. Okay, in order to solve by factoring, we need the equations to be equal to 0. That doesn't happen here. But we know that we can get this equal to 0 by adding 6. If I add 6, then I will have 0 on the right-hand side. So I'm going to add 6 here as well. So I get 3x squared minus 2x, negative 6 plus 6 gives me 0. I don't have to write that, is equal to 0. So that makes this one a little bit easier to factor because it's not a trinomial. It's not a difference of perfect cubes. It's not the difference of perfect squares. So the only thing I can do here is take out a GCF of x so that I'm left with 3x minus 2. So now I have my two solutions. Either x is equal to 0 or 3x minus 2 is equal to 0. So I add 2 to both sides and divide by 3. So my two solutions here are x equals 0 or x equals 2/3. In problem 7, okay, we have 35r squared is equal to 3r plus 20. Okay, again, the only way that we can solve this equation is by having it equal to 0. So I'm going to move these two terms over to this side. And the way that I can do that is by subtracting my 3r and subtracting my 20. So I do that to this side, I also have to do it to the left side. Now none of these terms combine, so I have 35r squared minus 3r minus 20 is equal to 0. So now I have to factor this in order to be able to solve it. I multiply 35 times a negative 20. I multiply 35 times a negative 20, and that gives me a negative 700. And I'm trying to add to give a negative 3. So those two numbers are a positive 25 and a negative 28. So I rewrite my trinomial as 35r squared plus 25r minus 28r minus 20 is equal to 0. So I group these two terms together and these two terms together. So my common factor here is a 5r, and that leaves me with 7r plus 5. And here I have a negative 4. So that also leaves me with my 7r plus 5. So my two factors are 5r minus 4 and 7r plus 5. These are my factors. Okay, all along this is still equal to 0. So these are my factors which help me get my solutions. I'm going to solve 5r minus 4 is equal to 0. I'm going to add 4 to both sides. So r is equal to 4/5. And I'm also going to solve 7r plus 5 is equal to 0. So I subtract 5 from both sides. And I divide by 7. So r is equal to negative 5/7. So these are my two solutions. One thing that's important is to keep track of vocabulary here. 5r minus 4 is a factor. A solution is 4 over 5. Okay, so those words mean different things. We're going to look at the last page here, which we have 10x squared plus 5x minus 14. So I don't have a GCF. I always look for that first. Here I multiply 10 times negative 14. So that's negative 140. And I'm trying to add to get a positive 5. And here's where I noticed I made a mistake because I can't find numbers that add to 5. So what I forgot to write down here was the other side of the equation. And we can't forget about that. So we have 10x squared plus 5x minus 14 is equal to x. This makes a big difference. So now I'm subtracting x from both sides. 10x squared plus 4x minus 14 is equal to 0. Okay, we cannot solve this equation unless it is equal to 0. So now we're looking for numbers that multiply to give us a negative 140 and add to give us 4. So those two numbers are a negative 10 and a positive 14. So we rewrite our trinomial as 10x squared minus 10x plus 14x minus 14 is equal to 0. So we're grouping these two items, So we have 10x times x minus 1. We factor out a positive 14, so we're left with x minus 1. So our two factors are 10x plus 14 times x minus 1. So now I want to solve this by setting each factor equal to 0. 10x plus 14 equals 0. We subtract 14 from both sides, divide by 10. We get x is equal to negative 7/5. Okay, make sure you're reducing your fraction to its lowest terms. and also x minus 1 equals 0. I add 1 to both sides, so I get x is equal to 1. Alright, so use this information to finish up the even numbers on your homework assignment. If you have other questions, come into Cab Morning, and I wish you good luck.